If you're trying to kit up for the range or a really bad day, stick around, because today we're doing a rigorous test of AR500 Armor, complete with armor-piercing rounds. What is up, guys? My name is John with PewPewTactical.com, your definitive source for gun reviews, gear guides, and all things that go bang. AR500 Armor is probably one of the most popular and also controversial companies in the body armor game today, and for good reason. They offer relatively inexpensive NIJ certified body armor at the expense of weight and potential fragmentation damage on some models. Now, just a heads up, we are about to dive a little bit deep just to clarify some body armor terminology here, but you can skip to the timecode on the screen if you just want the raw results. For the unfamiliar, the NIJ stands for the National Institute of Justice. It's a government organization that has set threat protection levels for body armor that armor companies can choose to submit their products to. Now, you can peep the description below if you want to get into all of the nerdy ballistics stats, but essentially threat level rating depends on the velocity and the caliber of the projectile it's meant to stop. Level 3A is soft armor. It's made of lightweight and flexible woven fibers that should be able to stop common 9mm all the way up to 44 Magnum and 357 SIG, but it is completely worthless against any rifle cartridge. Level 3 is where you start getting into harder and heavier plates, but you do gain protection from 308 full metal jacket ball ammunition like this NATO M80. However, faster projectiles like M855 and M193 5.56 rounds can still penetrate level 3 plates depending on distance and velocity. Next up is level 3+, which should reliably stop both the M855 green tip penetrator rounds as well as the faster M193 cartridge. Unique to AR500 Armor is their level 3+ lightweight plate, which does shed a few pounds, but like the normal 3+ plate can still be defeated by true armor-piercing 30 caliber cartridges. Lastly, level 4 plates are comprised of ceramic composite materials that should stop 30-06 M2 armor-piercing rounds, as well as the M855 and M193 cartridges at closer distances. AR500's level 4 plates are thicker but still overall lighter weight than their steel counterparts. AR500 also offers a myriad of different plate cuts and sizes to ensure optimal fit and coverage depending on your body size and activity, including cuts that maximize strong hand mobility depending on hand dominance, or swimmer-style plates that make the overhand motion of swimming a tiny bit easier, though we still wouldn't recommend attempting to swim in steel body armor. Keep in mind that ballistics plates are only meant to cover your vitals, such as your heart, lungs, and diaphragm. An easy and sexy way to ballpark this is to make sure that whatever plate you're looking at covers both nipples and reaches all the way up to the jugular notch. To find your jugular notch, trace upwards from your sternum and find the first soft spot you run across. You'll know you found it when pressing on it makes you choke. For size comparison, a standard 10x12 plate is approximately the same size as this Southeast Asian armored alien egg sac fruit thing that the vast majority of you will probably never encounter in real life, much in the same way that you will likely not ever actually use your body armor. While offering no ballistic protection, the trauma pad sits behind your plate when it's worn in a plate carrier, and it does help to disperse some of the kinetic energy involved in catching a bullet with a piece of metal that's worn on your dad bod.
Fatality.
In addition to all of the above jargon, you've also got options with regards to plate curvature as well. The absolute cheapest body armor is completely flat, and I probably don't need to tell you that your body isn't. Curved plates are much more comfortable, and are generally only slightly more expensive than their flat counterparts. In our opinion, grabbing a curved plate if you intend on wearing it for any length of time is a must. Lastly, we've got plate coating. AR500 is essentially just very durable steel, but unfortunately steel can spray nasty metal fragments directly into your body even if it catches around. AR500 coats all of their steel plates with PaxCon, which is basically the same as bedliner material. Plates can come in a variety of different coating levels, which we'll discuss a bit more in depth later on. With all of that out of the way, here's the part where you get mad that we blew up a bunch of perfectly good body armor in the desert instead of sending it to you or whatever. First up is the level 3A soft armor. As expected, both the cheaper but thicker rime leg and pricier hybrid soft armor stood up to 9mm ball and 357 from 10 yards just fine. It should be noted that hollow point pistol rounds are even easier to stop given their tendency to flare upon impact. However, 3 rounds of 5.56 ripped through it easily, as soft armor offers no protection from rifle rounds. Up next is a standard flat level 3 plate with the standard base coat of PaxCon applied. As expected, the armor itself stood up to direct hits from M80 ball ammunition just fine, but the PaxCon coat was badly damaged and our dummy took some pretty nasty fragmentation damage to the face. Needless to say, getting hit with a 308 round is probably pretty shitty, but dealing with hundreds of tiny metal splinters in your grill is even shittier. While the level 3 curved plate seemed to deflect a bit more of the blast damage away from our dummy's face and extremities, this should serve as a demonstration that investing a bit more in the thicker coatings is absolutely worth the money. As you can see, the level 3 plate with the build-up coating does a much better job at trapping all of the metal fragments produced by the 308 round impacting steel, though it still does appear to blow out the coating along the edges of the plate because of physics or whatever. In theory, a mere level 3 plate shouldn't be able to stop either of the 5.56 rounds we tested, but the build-up coat appeared to catch both M193 and M855 green tip with only minimal bulge on the backside of the plate. We may have been right at the cutoff distance where the rounds had slowed enough not to pierce level 3 steel, but we wouldn't take this as a reliable indicator of anything as level 3 isn't rated to stop the faster 5.56 projectiles. You will need 3+ for that. Moving on to the level 3+ with a build-up coat, the plate reliably stopped 3 rounds of both M855 and M193 with little to no damage to the coat or obvious signs of spalling. The rear of the plate shows no signs of deformation. However, 30-06 black tip, which is an armor-piercing round, sailed right through the plate and into our dummy with ease. Similarly, the level 3+ lightweight plate with the build-up coat also ate all of the 5.56 that we threw at it, with a very slight blowout of the bottom plate edge coating. .30-06 black tip once again put this plate in a shallow grave on the side of the highway. Finally, we've got our hefty boy level 4 ceramic composite plate. While NIJ certification for level 4 plates dictates that they should be able to stop a 30 caliber steel core armor piercing projectile, we may have been inside the range at which multiple hits are reliably stopped. It's difficult to tell, but it appears that our level 4 plate caught one .30-06 black tip and may have partially failed with the second, which looks to have traveled into the same cavity created by the first and blown out the rear side of the plate. It's impressive that the plate still managed to deflect the second AP round out to the side considering that that area was already compromised, but that's certainly not an optimal outcome. It's worth noting that NIJ level 4 certification is probably tested at much longer ranges than 50 yards, underscoring the fact that being in a gunfight against .30-06 armor-piercing rounds is an incredibly situation. When it comes down to it, is AR500 worth the money? That probably depends a lot on your individual situation, but in our opinion, the level 3+ lightweight plates with the build-up coat offer a good amount of protection with minimal risk of spalling injury if you're fit enough to hack carrying steel plates for any length of time. However, if you anticipate having to square off against any kind of armor-piercing projectile, you're probably going to be better off with the ceramic level 4 plates. As always, you'll need to make the decision yourself as to what trade-offs are worth it to you, but you should always kit up to face the most dangerous likely threat if that's a consideration. Additionally, AR500's actual plate carriers are surprisingly well made and affordable, and it's pretty cool to see some low-cost, laser-cut molly options on the market that aren't coming from super high-end Gucci manufacturers. The Invictus takes some obvious design influence from Cry Precision's JPC, but can also be set up to run a Swift Clip style micro chest rig or a placard if necessary. This is personally my favorite plate carrier out of all of the AR500 rigs that we've looked at, as I do enjoy lower profile setups. However, the shoulder padding does leave a little bit to be desired, and I would probably add on aftermarket shoulder pads if I was going to run this for any length of time. The Testudo is a bit bulkier and includes pockets built into the cummerbund for side plates as well. We've got this one set up with a few of AR500's pouches, which impressively include bits of Hypalon type fabric here and there for added durability. The Testudo also includes the thickest foam in the shoulder pads out of any of the carriers we tested, improving comfort if worn for long periods of time. The Veritas is another smaller modular carrier. We've attached an additional skeletal cummerbund from AR500, and would likely run this setup with a rifle mag placard such as you'd find from Haley Strategic or Spiritus systems. If you're a tiny boy or you need to armor up a child or a small dog, the Freeman and the Micro Rig offer about the smallest profile possible while still being able to carry an 8x10 plate. AR500 also offers combo packages so that you can grab a carrier and plates at the same time if you'd rather not play the guessing game with plate sizes and cuts. Alright guys, that's gonna do it for us today. Thank you so much for watching. We hope that we've been able to demystify one of the most oft-talked about aspects of personal protective equipment in the community, as well as provide some insight into the trade-offs involved in selecting your personal armor setup. We know that we covered a lot of ground here today, and if you'd prefer to intake all of this information in a tidy blog format, you can check the description for a link back to the website where we've got it laid out all nice and pretty like. Once again, my name is John with Pew Pew Tactical, and we will see you next time.